Every year, people claim to capture something impossible on camera. Dark shapes moving through the trees, shadows crossing highways in a single stride, eyes staring back from the forest, unblinking. Some insist it's just tricks of light, shaky footage, or hoaxes made to go viral. But when you see the size, the speed, and the silence in these clips, you start to wonder. Because if these encounters are real, it means something enormous is still out there, watching. The creature carrying a deer. This picture was taken on Navajo tribal land Mogollon Rim region of in Arizona. It shows a tall, upright figure moving through the brush. The shape looks massive, with long arms and broad shoulders, covered in a brown, fur-like coat. What makes it more unsettling is that it appears to be carrying a deer across its body, as if the animal was nothing more than a load to haul. The image is blurry, but the outline is clear enough to raise questions. It doesn't move like a bear, and the way it holds the deer suggests great strength and balance. If real, it matches many of the scariest Bigfoot encounters, where the creature is seen dragging animals or stealing livestock. People often dismiss such photos as hoaxes or mistakes, but the thought of a huge, unknown creature walking freely with its prey is chilling. What do you think? The Alaskan Sasquatch with an infant. Near the Dalton Highway in Alaska, a strange figure was caught on camera. At first glance, it looked like a dark shape against the rocks, but on closer look, it appeared to be more than that. The figure had the size and build of a Sasquatch, crouched on a cliff ledge overlooking the road. The image showed what seemed to be a smaller form held close in its arms. Many believe this could be an infant Bigfoot, cradled by its mother as she kept watch. The trucker who stopped nearby had no idea he was being observed from above. The frozen Alaskan wilderness has always been full of mysteries, but this sighting stood out. If true, it suggests these creatures may not only exist, but also live in family groups, hidden away from people in the remote stretches of land. It was a rare and haunting glimpse into something unknown. The creature on the freeway. It was rush hour in South Dallas when traffic crawled to a standstill. Out of nowhere, something enormous darted across the freeway. For a moment, every driver froze, staring at the massive figure racing across the lanes near exit 425, not far from the Dallas Zoo. The area sits at the edge of the Trinity River Preserve, a thick stretch of woods and shadows. In broad daylight, though, no one expected to see a giant creature leaping across 4 lanes. Yet dozens of people claimed they saw it. Witnesses described it as towering, with arms longer than a man's and hair hanging down. It cleared the road in just 3 strides before vanishing into the tree line. One driver swore it was bigger than a car. Theories spread quickly. Some thought it was an escaped gorilla, others insisted it was Bigfoot, but the size and speed also matched a bear rearing on 2 legs. Whatever it was, the mystery still lingers. The Mika Hulk of Tucson. Near Tucson, Arizona, a trail camera captured something unusual. The camera had been placed about 10 feet above the ground, angled down into a dry creek bed. When the images were reviewed, one stood out, a hulking figure staring directly into the lens. The creature looked massive. Since the camera itself was mounted 10 feet high and the figure's eyes were level with it, the height was estimated to be at least 10 feet. Its broad frame was harder to measure, but it was clear the figure was built like a giant. Locals who saw the photo nicknamed it the Mika Hulk, a strange and mysterious figure unlike any known animal in the region. To this day, the image remains one of the most talked about trail camera captures near Tucson, leaving many to wonder what exactly was walking through that dry creek bed late at night. The Vancouver Island capture. In late November, a man from Nanaimo, British Columbia set up his trail camera near Kennedy Lake on Vancouver Island. The camera, equipped with infrared, captured something unusual during the night. The image showed what looked like a large face staring directly toward the lens. Based on the angle and camera placement, the figure appeared to stand around 8 to 9 feet tall. The following frame made the sighting more compelling. The figure was no longer in the same spot, suggesting it had moved or vanished from view. This ruled out the chance of it being just light or shadow. A closer look, using a light filter, brought out more detail. The shape resembled the head and face of a creature many believe to be Sasquatch. Vancouver Island has long been considered a hotspot for Bigfoot sightings, and this capture adds to that reputation. Some believe it could be real evidence of a Vancouver Island Sasquatch. The figure in the stream. A game warden and his son were patrolling a remote stretch of wilderness when they saw something strange in a shallow stream. A tall figure stood there, silent and still, as if it belonged to the place. They quickly pulled out a phone and began filming. The creature was massive, its body covered in thick, dark hair. It moved slowly through the water, calm and unbothered, almost as if it knew it was being watched. It never looked their way, never reacted, and gave no sign of fear. The sight was unsettling. The figure looked just like the descriptions people often give of Bigfoot: huge, wild, and mysterious. Yet no one could say for sure what it was. Out there in the woods, far from anyone else, it seemed like a reminder that some things may still be hiding, waiting to be seen. The figure in the woods. A blurry photo taken in the woods shows a dark figure standing between the trees. Its body looks tall and muscular, with long arms and a shape too human-like to dismiss. The strange blur adds to the fear, making it unclear whether it was a person or something else. Many scary Bigfoot encounters describe the same feeling this photo gives. People say the forest suddenly turns quiet, and a heavy sense of being watched takes over. The creature often stands still, just observing before slipping back into the trees. It is not just the figure itself, but the uneasy silence around it that makes the sight so disturbing. The giant wolf of Chilcot. During a 3-day trip in the remote Chilcotin area, a group of hikers spotted something that left them stunned. Out of the forest, a massive creature appeared and ran quickly into the woods. Its size stood out immediately, towering against the trees and the landscape around it. At first glance, many assumed it was a bear, but the way it moved told a different story. It ran with the speed and stride of a wolf. Only, it wasn't the kind of wolf anyone had seen before. It was far larger, closer to the size of the prehistoric dire wolf that is believed to be extinct. Some began to wonder if it was something beyond the natural world, perhaps a creature of myth like the Dogman or even a werewolf. Whatever it was, one thing was certain. No one there had ever seen a wolf of that size before.
Okay, I found one.
Look at how fast it's running up that thing.
Holy!
I could probably get that.
I'm on the video. Holy crap! Oh my god! He's behind the trees right now.
The vanishing figure in the woods. Some Bigfoot researchers believe the creature can cloak itself, blending into its surroundings so well that it seems invisible. This idea comes from eyewitness accounts where people claimed the figure vanished in front of them or they felt its presence without ever seeing it. One recent video added fuel to this theory. A man filming in the woods captured something unusual. In the clip, a faint outline of a tall, hunched figure appeared. It looked translucent, almost ghost-like, and barely visible. Slowed down, the footage shows the shape moving with a posture that doesn't match ordinary animals. Theories are split into two directions. Some suggest biological camouflage, like a chameleon or octopus changing its skin to blend in. Others believe it's paranormal, with Bigfoot slipping between dimensions or using unseen energy fields. But what do you think?
You see that? Over there, look, over there. You see that?
What the hell?
Wait, cause that was it again, right there. Wait.
I don't like this.
You see that? Right there. Look.
Oh my god. That's not an animal. I don't like it.
Okay, fuck. Go. Fuck.
The Creature by the Colorado River. A group of hikers was moving through the wilderness near the Colorado River when something strange caught their eyes. Far in the distance, a massive figure stood tall, covered in thick hair. It wasn't moving like any normal animal, and its size made it even more unsettling. Some believed it could be the legendary Bigfoot. Local stories had long whispered of strange creatures linked to hidden portals in this region. Sightings weren't new, but this moment felt different. The figure seemed to watch them from afar, then slowly faded back into the landscape. The hikers stood frozen, torn between fear and awe. They couldn't explain what they had just seen, but they knew it wasn't ordinary. Whether it was Bigfoot or something else, the memory of that shadowy giant near the river would never them. The mystery still lingers, with no clear answers even today. The biker's footage. A man was biking through a dusty trail in a North American forest, focused on the path ahead. The ride felt ordinary, with nothing unusual catching his eye. He talked casually about the weather, the snow, and the trail, as if it were just another day outdoors. Later, back home, he went through the footage from his ride. That's when something unexpected appeared. Among the bare branches, a tall figure stood, rising more than 8 feet high. At first it looked like a shadow, but the outline was too distinct to ignore. The recording wasn't sharp, but the size and shape stood out. The more he replayed it, the more certain he became. He hadn't noticed it while biking, but his camera had picked up something strange. To him, it seemed clear he had unknowingly filmed Bigfoot.
It's the beginning of May. This area, technically, growing season is June 1st, so it could still snow again. That's why the trees aren't going to take their chances coming out yet. Now this one we drove by, it didn't look like it was clogged, but we'll see. That's why the trees aren't going to take their chances coming out yet. Now this one we drove by, it didn't look like it was clogged, but we'll see.
The shadow on the bridge. A strange video surfaced on Reddit, showing what some people believe could be a mounted beast. The clip begins with the quiet edge of a forest and the outline of a bridge road faintly visible under dim light. A few moments pass, and then a massive shadow slowly moves across the bridge. Its size looks far larger than any person, and the outline almost hints at a humanoid shape, sparking comparisons to the legendary Sasquatch. But the footage is far from clear. It could just as easily be someone walking near a light source, casting a distorted shadow that appears monstrous on camera. With no supporting evidence, the claim feels shaky. Still, the image of that towering silhouette crossing the bridge is enough to stir unease. Even if it were just a regular person, stumbling onto that scene in the middle of the night would be terrifying. The night Sasquatch returned. A week after fleeing the forest, the investigator from Sooner Sasquatch went back with a new night vision device. Last time, he had heard footsteps and snapping branches but saw nothing. This time, the woods felt heavier, colder, as if the silence itself was watching. As he moved through the underbrush, twigs cracked and leaves rustled around him. The deeper he went, the more it felt the something was wrong. Then, a group of trees shifted, even though the night was still. His camera caught a fleeting shadow, tall and upright, gone before he could focus. Replay after replay showed only a blur, but enough to raise dread. The forest grew unnervingly quiet. Signs of something powerful were everywhere. Broken stems, bent branches, trampled ground. Then came a guttural growl from the dark. It rumbled deep and low, shaking his chest. Alone and unarmed, he realized it wasn't safe. Whatever was there stayed hidden, waiting. He turned back, but the feeling never left. Something had claimed that night. The Queensland Yowie sighting. On the 30th of July 2022, just as dusk was settling over southeast Queensland, something unusual was caught on camera. At 5:38 p.m., a brief 21-second video was recorded that appeared to show a Yowie moving through the area. The footage was later enhanced using filters to make the image clearer. When the brightness was adjusted, the figure stood out more sharply, and it didn't look like any ordinary animal. Its size and shape gave the impression of something far larger and different from what is normally found in those parts. For years, people have shared stories about Yowies in Australia, but sightings are rare and often debated. This short film added another piece to the mystery. Though only a few seconds long, it sparked fresh interest in whether these creatures could truly be roaming the wilds of Queensland. The New Year's Day encounter. On New Year's Day in 2020, a woman hiking in Northern California captured a strange image on her camera. While walking along a high, remote mountain trail, she noticed a tall, dark figure peeking over a ridgeline. When the photo was analyzed, the creature appeared to stand about 7 to 8 feet tall. Its shape showed a conical head and clear facial features that didn't match a bear. The outline was broad and upright, more like the descriptions often linked to Sasquatch sightings. Some people who studied the picture suggested it could still be a black bear standing in an unusual position. Others were convinced it was something else, something closer to the legendary Bigfoot. The image remains unclear, but its mystery continues to stir debate. A simple photo from a quiet hike turned into one of the most talked about sightings of recent years. Trail cam mystery in Montana. In southeast Montana, a strange image appeared on a trail camera near a spring where the camera belonged to a member of the Northern Cheyenne Nation living in lame deer. The photo seemed to show a tall, human-like figure with long arms and a rounded head. Its size and shape stood out, making it hard to dismiss as an ordinary animal. The capture was taken at night, with the camera's infrared lens adding to the eerie effect. The image quickly drew attention. Some saw it as a convincing glimpse of Bigfoot, while others remained skeptical, unsure of what the lens had caught. Yet, for those who viewed it closely, the details of the figure made the possibility difficult to ignore. For the Northern Cheyenne community, the photo became more than just a curious sight. It stirred fresh questions about what really moves in the dark corners of Montana's wide lands. The Eureka Bigfoot Encounter. In Eureka, California, a forester living on a 40-acre remote woodland claimed he captured something unusual on his camera. The footage, recorded deep in the forest, showed a tall, strange figure moving among the trees. The forester released the video, stirring both curiosity and doubt. Some people believe it could simply be a person in a costume, while others think it might be real evidence of Bigfoot. The recording adds to the long history of mysterious sightings linked to the creature. Each report fuels speculation, yet no one has been able to confirm the truth. The story raises the same old question. Does Bigfoot really exist, hiding in the untouched corners of the wilderness? Or is it only a legend passed down through tales and imagination? For now, the mystery remains unsolved, leaving room for wonder and debate. The Red Feather Lakes Mystery. In the quiet forests of Red Feather Lakes, Colorado, a set of unusual images surfaced online. They showed a tall figure standing on a mountain ridge. The pictures quickly caught attention, not because of any wild claims, but because of the figure's details. The side profile revealed what seemed like a face, eyes, a nose, a mouth, and even the outline of an ear. It didn't look like a shadow or a random shape in the trees. It looked like something alive, something watching. No one could say for sure if it was a Sasquatch or just an odd trick of light and distance, but the images stirred curiosity. For many, Red Feather Lakes suddenly became more than just another scenic spot in Colorado. It became a place of questions, a place that now carries a hint of mystery waiting to be explored. The skunk ape in the Everglades. In the Everglades, a man claimed to spot something unusual while exploring. He recorded a figure moving across an open field and later uploaded the video online. The figure looked tall, dark, and walked upright. Some viewers thought it was carrying something, maybe even a walking stick. Skeptics quickly pointed out it could just be a hiker with a backpack and stick. The footage was distant and blurry, leaving no clear answer. While many dismissed it, others connected it to Florida's own version of Bigfoot, the skunk ape. The skunk ape is said to be smaller and scruffier than the classic Bigfoot, usually between 5 and 7 feet tall. It's covered in reddish-brown hair and is infamous for its foul smell, which earned it the name. Legends of wild men in the swamps go back centuries, told in Native American stories long before modern sightings. The young Bigfoot clip. A video appeared online that some believe shows a young Bigfoot. It was filmed in daylight, though the footage is shaky. A small figure covered in dark fur steps out from behind a tree, charges toward the camera for a moment, then quickly disappears back into the bushes. The movement is quick but clear enough to spark debate. Some say it looks like a bluff charge, a behavior seen in great apes when they try to scare away threats. Others argue it might be a prank because the timing feels too perfect, like it was staged. Still, some believe the clip shows a young Bigfoot that hasn't yet learned how to stay hidden. Whether prank or proof, the video keeps people talking, each replay leaving more questions than answers.
Holy shit! Fuck!
The mysterious figure in the water. A hiker once spotted a large black figure moving in the water. At first, he thought it was a bear and kept his distance, watching quietly. Before leaving, he managed to snap a quick photo. Later, when he zoomed in on the picture, the details looked strange. The head wasn't round like a bear's but cone-shaped, and the body seemed more human than animal. The more he looked, the less it resembled anything he knew. He never learned what he had really seen that day. All he had was that single photo, and it left more questions than answers. To many, the figure looked like something beyond a bear, something that matched the old stories of Bigfoot. Bald Mountain River sighting. Blaine and his wife reported a fast, bipedal creature on the river bottom below Bald Mountain. An investigator enlarged the video but could not resolve clear details. The investigator noted 2 other sightings on the same mountain in the last 5 years. Searchers plan to check nearby soft ground and creek banks for tracks. Blaine said the behavior felt unlike a human. He and his wife were passing through from Tennessee and left before they could return to examine the meadow. Appalachian backyard find. Brian's friend filmed something strange in a backyard creek near the point where Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia meet. He was on his way to work when he noticed a large shape standing in shallow water. He used his iPhone 16 and zoomed in. The figure looked huge and dark. The head seemed rounded, and the eyes reflected light. The phone footage was enlarged later. At 300%, the subject still looked tall and solid. It did not move like a deer or a bear. The witness had seen odd signs on his land before this. Footprints and broken brush were found nearby. The video shows the figure standing and foraging in the creek. It could be many things, but at least for now, it is unexplained. People who study such footage should get better images. Until then, the clip remains a mystery and a strong claim from the witness. Bigfoot in the Tatra Mountains. In 2009, a video surfaced from the Tatra Mountain region along the Poland-Slovakia border. It shows a group of people relaxing by a creek when something unusual appeared. The camera is shaky, but for a few seconds, a tall figure can be seen moving on 2 legs at the edge of the trees before slipping back into the foliage. The footage is unstable, which makes it hard to judge. Later, an attempt was made to stabilize the video, giving a slightly clearer view of the figure. Even then, the mystery remained. Some believe the shaky filming was intentional, as the movement of the camera feels more than just casual. Others argue that cameras in 2009 lacked good stabilization, so the blur may be natural. The short clip sparked plenty of debate. Was it a genuine sighting of Bigfoot in Eastern Europe, or just another blurry shadow in the woods? The answer still hangs in doubt. The blurry Bigfoot in Georgia. One of the strangest stories out of coastal Georgia came from a family who claimed to spot something unusual in the woods. Others swore the details didn't fit: no tail, long limbs, and a way of moving that looked too fast and too graceful to be any normal creature. Stories poured in from people who had seen strange shapes in forests and dark roads, often at night. Some described short, hairy figures on all fours. Others said they had run into tall, hunched beings that moved in eerie silence. No one could agree on what the family really captured. But like most Bigfoot tales, the image stayed blurry, and the mystery only grew sharper. The strange figure in Trinity County. In Trinity County, East Texas, Sheriff Woody Wallace was addressing a common problem in the area: illegal dumping in a local park. To catch the culprits, cameras had been placed at both ends of the road to record vehicles entering and leaving. The sheriff was focused on the issue of trash and evidence of discarded cat food cans scattered across the spot. But while his attention was on the dumping, something strange appeared in the background of the footage. Between the trees, a tall figure covered in dark fur seemed to stand upright for a brief moment before slipping back into the woods. It was easy to miss, and the sheriff himself didn't appear to notice at the time. When the video later surfaced, viewers weren't talking about the trash problem. Instead, they were left stunned, asking themselves what they had just seen and whether something much larger than littering had been caught on camera.
This road, I have cameras up. I can see the cars when they come in. I can check the cars when they come out. They had a bunch of garbage when they come in, and it's not still in the back of their truck when they leave. We've got a problem. So this right here.
The tall figure in the grass. A man was hiking through an area where the grass grew high around him. As he walked, he kept feeling like something was following close behind. At first, he brushed it off as nothing more than his own fear playing tricks on him. The silence of the trail and the swaying grass made it easy to imagine things that weren't there. But then, something unexpected happened. Out of the thick grass, a clear silhouette appeared. From how much of it stood above the grass, it was obvious that the figure was unusually tall. The shape looked strange, almost hazy, as if it wasn't solid. Some parts seemed blurred, like dark smoke shifting in the air. The man didn't stop to investigate. Whatever it was, human or not, he decided not to take chances. He made it out safely, but the sight left him shaken. The tall, smoky figure in the grass still raises more questions than answers. Shadow in the Utah Pines. On January 15, a series of photographs was taken from a car with a handheld camera in the Uinta Mountains of Utah. The location was identified as near Farm Creek, one canyon over from UA Canyon on the west side of the road before reaching Moon Lake. The images show a tall, upright figure standing on a ridge. The subject displays a hunched posture and a slightly domed head. It appears to remain motionless in several frames, positioned against the tree line, giving the impression of camouflage. The area is widely known for reports of Bigfoot sightings, UFO activity, and local legends of skinwalkers. No statues, carvings, or artificial structures were noted in the location, and no obvious wildlife tracks were visible. The subject in the photographs does not resemble a typical human figure, does it? Its exact identity remains undetermined. What do you think it was? Any guesses?
Jacob left town for the mountains. He rode a bike with a small trailer. He packed food, a tent, and a bow. On day 2, his bike was found hidden under a tarp. His things were neat. 4 arrows stood in the ground. No tracks led away. Search teams combed the forest for weeks. Nothing turned up. Over a year later, researchers found bones deep in the wilderness. The bones were Jacob's and also belonged to 2 older missing people. A torn tent, a zipped backpack, a wallet, and a broken phone lay nearby. 3 arrows were stuck in the earth close by. Investigators pulled data from the phone. There was a short clip. Through a telescope lens, it showed a tall, dark, fur-covered figure watching Jacob's camp. Bigfoot investigators said the clip fit a pattern of strange vanishings in the park. The sheriff called the area eerie and suggested it could be a nest. Jacob's parents hoped for a natural cause. No clear answer came. The forest kept its secrets. Jacob's trail stopped, and only scattered bones and questions remain. In December 2024, a hunter in Royal Oak, Michigan, made a chilling discovery. Human bones, a torn shirt, worn-out shoes, and a black backpack lay hidden beneath leaves. Forensic testing confirmed the remains belonged to Kevin Graves, an outdoor enthusiast who vanished 6 years earlier. Kevin had disappeared in July 2018 after a trip with his girlfriend Sarah and friends. They had planned to explore the forest before heading to a music festival, but after a heated argument with Sarah, Kevin walked off and never returned. Search efforts involving helicopters, dogs, and hundreds of rescuers found no trace of him. When investigators examined Kevin's recovered phone, they found eerie evidence. He had made 5 failed emergency calls and recorded a short audio clip with heavy breathing and strange howls in the background. A video showed him spotting a towering figure moving across the trees. Kevin's fate remains uncertain. Some believe he got lost. Others suspect something far more terrifying was out there in the woods that night. Albert Ostman went into the British Columbia woods to look for a lost gold mine. He set up camp near Toba Inlet and lived off simple food. For days, his supplies were tidied and some food vanished. He thought animals were stealing bits, but the pattern seemed different. One night he woke inside his sleeping bag and was being carried. He remembered the weight, the rise and fall of each step, and a tight, hot space with a small opening for air. When he was let down, 4 huge, hairy figures stood around him. They moved like a family. They watched. They gathered food. A young one copied his actions. Ostman stayed with them for days. He watched how they lived and how they spoke to one another. He escaped after tricking the old male with snuff and ran until he found a logging camp. He kept quiet for decades, then told his tale. He never changed it. People still argue about what he saw. What would you have believed? Deep in the forest, a camper's ordinary night turned into something terrifying. He set up his tent, switched on his camera, and soon found himself caught in a scene straight out of folklore. Through a tear in the fabric of his tent, he came face to face with what many believed to be a Bigfoot. Before he could make sense of it, armed figures appeared from the tree line, chasing the entity through the darkness. The sight has sparked endless debate. Some think the figures were government agents on a secret mission, while others believe they were hunters who had been tracking the creature for months. What makes the footage more chilling is the Bigfoot's violent behavior. It seemed to rip through the tent with raw force. The clip remains a mystery, leaving behind more questions than answers.
Follow me! I'll cover you! Perfect!
Jared chose to spend his birthday deep in a remote Idaho forest. The access roads were closed, the park was deserted, and he hadn't seen a single car or person all day. With his new drone in hand, he launched it to capture the silent beauty of the ridges and trees around him. At first, the footage showed nothing but endless woods. Then, as the drone moved higher, something unsettling appeared. A tall black figure rushed between the trees. It moved unnaturally fast, crossing the ground with a speed no human could manage. There was no trail nearby, no footsteps, no sound, just that fleeting shadow. Jared searched the area, but the forest remained still, almost watching him back. The figure had vanished as if it had never been there. What he captured on his drone that day still lingers like a haunting question with no answer.
State Park, and I had all the roads were closed, so I was pretty much the only one back there. I hadn't seen any cars coming through. Beautiful views. I hadn't seen anybody or anything until right here. If you just see right up there in the top in the middle of the trees, you can see a black figure running away right here.
In August 2013, a couple on vacation in Vancouver Island, British Columbia, stopped near a creek along a narrow back road to Port Renfrew. They wandered a short distance into the forest when they heard branches breaking ahead. What they saw left them stunned. About 75 to 100 feet away stood a huge upright figure, gray in color, swaying side to side. They filmed it for more than 2 minutes, an unusually long sighting. The creature had broad shoulders, a cone-shaped head, and appeared far larger than any black bear they had seen. Its silvery coat was also unusual, as black bears in the area are rarely gray. The figure swaying matched behaviors seen in great apes, but not in bears. Later, the couple uploaded the footage to their small YouTube channel, which had no history of Bigfoot content. They insisted it was not a bear. To this day, the Port Renfrew footage is considered one of the most compelling alleged Sasquatch videos ever captured. A Reddit user shared a strange experience from a small village in Austria. A few hours earlier, while in the bathroom, the user opened a window and heard loud noises rolling across the forest. The sound resembled a crowd at a soccer match, with shouting voices and something like an announcer amplified through a speaker. The setting made it even more unsettling. The user lives in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by forest and mountains, with the nearest town a few kilometers away. There are no nearby soccer fields, no scheduled events, and the nearest large stadium lies about 70 kilometers from the village. Nothing in the area explained the noise. What makes the account more disturbing is the user's admission of always feeling uneasy in that forest. Every time they walked through it, they sensed they should not be there. Hearing stadium-like sounds from that direction only deepened the mystery.
Was zur Hölle? The fuck? Das kommt vom Void, Alter.
On the Blackfoot Reservation in Saca, Alberta, where the old Rockies touch tribal land, something unusual came to light. A camera captured a strange figure, but the real surprise was in the soil. Investigators found several footprints, including a smaller set that looked like those of a young Sasquatch. If true, this could mean family groups are moving through these lands. The idea excites cryptozoologists, as this stretch of wilderness is untouched and protected from modern development. Across the Rockies, similar patterns have been seen, following old trails once known to indigenous people. What makes this case stand out is the hint of permanence. These tracks suggest the creatures may not just wander here. They could be living in these sacred spaces, raising families where nature is still left to itself. The question is, have they found one of the last true sanctuaries on Earth? In August, a trail camera on a remote Missouri farm caught something its owner still struggles to explain. The camera had been set up to monitor water levels after summer floods, not for wildlife. Most days, it only sent back dull shots of leaves or branches moving in the wind. But one afternoon, as the landowner sat down to lunch, his phone buzzed with a new alert. Expecting nothing unusual, he opened the photo and froze. A massive figure was standing in the middle of the creek, upright and facing the lens. By the time he switched to the live feed, the figure was gone. Later, he and his brother returned to the spot. The ground showed no footprints, only loose gravel. To test the scale, his 6-foot-tall brother posed in the same place. The figure in the photo appeared several feet taller and far broader. Locals had long whispered about strange howls in those woods. Now, the landowner believes his camera captured Bigfoot. The Voyager Overland YouTube channel is all about Jeep travel, camping, and outdoor exploration. Earlier this summer, the creator took a family trip to the Ruby Falls Mountains in Alberta. Along with his wife, grandfather, and grandchildren, he set up camp near the falls and enjoyed the scenery before moving on to another site. At the new camp, he placed a trail camera to capture wildlife, but what it recorded was far from ordinary. In the night footage, a human-like figure walked through the camp. It moved naturally, pausing as if scanning the area. Yet, parts of it looked oddly translucent, something not usually seen with trail cameras. Even after filters were applied and the clip was enlarged, the figure stayed strange and hard to explain. Such moments are rare, but they remind us that the wilderness often holds more mysteries than we expect.
Now in the southwestern corner of the property, allegedly, this is where the guy said he had the most activity. That remains to be seen. A little spooky, I guess. It's mostly just quiet. Apparently they're building a subdivision over that way. Huh. Oh. What the hell is that? Oh. Something walking. Okay, all right.
In May 2011, a YouTube user named Pua76 uploaded a video that quickly caught attention. It showed what looked like a Sasquatch moving through the dense forest near Ketchikan, Alaska. The footage was raw, shaky, and unedited, but that only added to its sense of authenticity. At first, the figure is barely visible, darting between trees. Then the camera manages to capture a clearer view. A tall, broad-shouldered shape with an ape-like face, trying to blend into the thick vegetation. For a brief moment, it appears to look straight into the lens before the filmer flees in fear. The video, known as Bigfoot Ketchikan, spread quickly among enthusiasts. The Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization even cataloged it as one of the first major sightings in the area. With Ketchikan's remote setting, accessible only by boat or plane, many believe this remains one of Alaska's most convincing Bigfoot encounters. In March 2023, a woman walking her dog near Bartlett, New Hampshire, had an experience that quickly drew attention online. She submitted her account and video to the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch group, describing what she believed could be a brush with Bigfoot. As she moved through a wooded trail, she noticed a large, dark figure shifting between the trees. She pulled out her phone and managed to capture a short, grainy clip. Her dog, a massive mix usually confident on walks, froze in fear. The animal's reaction unsettled her even more than the sight itself. The woman also recalled a foul odor, sharp and rotten, hanging in the air. In the footage, the figure briefly steps into view before vanishing again. Some argue the size and stance are unlike a human, while skeptics insist it could have been a hiker. Ambiguous or not, the Bartlett video remains one of New Hampshire's most debated Bigfoot encounters. While trekking through a lonely stretch of the Appalachian Mountains, a group of hikers spotted something strange among the trees. The figure moved with an odd rhythm, almost unnatural, and its size made it difficult to believe it was human. One hiker tried to capture a closer look, but the footage came out blurry. The details were lost in the dark shifting shadows of the forest, leaving only a vague outline to study. No one knows exactly who recorded the video or the precise spot where it was taken, but the brief sighting has unsettled many who have watched it. The strange figure, half seen and unexplained, lingers in the minds of those who believe the mountain still holds secrets waiting to be uncovered. On July 8, 2021, the quiet Onion Creek area north of Cavill, Washington, witnessed something unusual. Around 7:30 in the evening, a man driving past a neighbor's property suddenly slammed his brakes. What he saw wasn't a deer or a bear. It was a tall, broad figure that looked far too human-like. For a brief moment, it stood near a slash pile close to the house. When he backed up for another look, the figure had vanished. The ground near the spot looked disturbed, as if something heavy had moved through. Trails led into the woods and toward the creek, but there was no sign of the figure again. The man later admitted the sight gave him instant goosebumps. His fear was so sudden that he hit the brakes without thinking. Whatever stood there disappeared into the silence of the mountains, leaving only broken branches and trampled grass. To this day, no one knows if it was just a trick of the light or if Onion Creek hid something far stranger. On May 19, 2025, a man was hiking alone near the New Jersey River when he spotted something unusual. Hidden behind a tree, a dark humanoid figure seemed to be watching him. Startled, he grabbed his phone and filmed the scene as the creature suddenly bolted up a steep hill. The video shows its full body, tall and bulky, clearly moving on two legs. Although the footage is blurry and shot from a distance, the size of the figure appears larger than an average human. The hiker, who often explores this area, said he had never seen anything strange before that day. His sighting adds to New Jersey's long history of Bigfoot stories. Since the 1970s, reports from Sussex County and the Pine Barrens have described giant hairy figures, eerie howls, and massive footprints. While the state is better known for the Jersey Devil, sightings of Bigfoot-like creatures remain part of its folklore. Mark recalled a night that didn't feel right. First came the sound of laughter outside, faint but unsettling, drifting across his property. When he stepped closer to look, he noticed strange movement near the bushes by a utility pole. At first, he thought his eyes were playing tricks, but the shapes in the field looked real. Dark figures seemed to shift and move quickly, almost like running on two legs. On a bigger screen, he later thought there were two, maybe even three of them. Horses crossed his mind as an explanation, but the way these shapes moved felt wrong. The unease deepened when something struck his house. Mark said it sounded like rocks hitting the siding and roof. It wasn't the first time. He'd heard similar noises before, mostly at the back of the house. To him, it felt deliberate, as if someone or something was testing him, waiting for a response. The video, originally shared by Cryptic World, begins with a simple moment. A man stepped out during his work break for a smoke and thought of capturing the beauty of nature. But what started as a quiet pause turned into something unexpected. In the footage, a dark figure appears in the undergrowth. It stands upright on two legs, its head conical, its body broad and bulky. There are no signs of clothing, only a solid dark mass that matches the descriptions often linked to Bigfoot. When zoomed in, the details grow sharper. The head sits low on the shoulders, the arms look unusually long, and the figure leans slightly forward, a stance familiar in reports of Bigfoot moving through thick forests. Adding to the mystery are the sounds. Witnesses across North America recall deep, resonant echoes in the woods. This video seems to capture both the sight and the eerie silence that surrounds such encounters. A lone hiker was moving through the wilderness, enjoying the silence and not watching the time. Hours passed as he followed narrow paths deeper into the forest. Eventually, he reached a clearing ringed by tall pine trees. Suddenly, he heard something heavy moving in the brush. Branches snapped and the sound grew closer, as if something large was forcing its way through the woods. At first, he thought it must be a bear or elk. Curious, he took out his phone to capture it. But the moment he pressed record, what appeared on the screen was nothing like an animal. The shape seemed strange, its movement unnatural. The hiker stood frozen, realizing he had stumbled upon something he could not explain. A driver in Canada was focused on a burned pile when his dashcam captured something unusual. At the time, he didn't notice anything strange. But later, while reviewing the footage, a large dark figure appeared in the background. It stood upright behind a shed, its shape blending with the trees. The shed itself was about 6 feet tall, but the figure seemed much taller, possibly around 8 feet. Its fur looked jet black, fading into a lighter brown on the stomach. The oddest part was how still it stood. It didn't move, almost as if it was trying to disappear into its surroundings. In real time, no one saw it. Only the dashcam picked up its outline. The footage isn't crystal clear because of the low frame rate, but it's enough to stir debate. Was this a rare glimpse of Bigfoot, or just another trick of the camera? One afternoon in Provo Canyon, a man was walking along a quiet trail, enjoying the stillness of the forest. The calm moment did not last long. From the edge of the trees, a tall, dark figure stepped into view. The sight startled him. He quickly crouched behind a wooden fence, though the thin rails looked useless against something that size. it raised a strange question. If the figure was real, what could it be? There were no zoos nearby, no missing exotic animals, and no known reason for a creature like that to appear in the canyon. Yet the shadow was clear enough to leave him unsettled. To this day, no one has explained what he saw. Some call it a trick of the light. Others insist it was something more. Whatever the truth, the memory of that figure still lingers in the canyon silence. In the 1970s, a photograph from Fort McMurray, Alberta, stirred up one of the most debated mysteries in cryptozoology. The story says a snowmobiler spotted something large crossing his path and quickly took a picture. The figure in the photo looked dark and bulky, moving through the snow in a way some claimed was not human. At first glance, it seemed convincing. But the 1970s were also a time when people wore heavy, dark winter gear, which could easily give the impression of a powerful figure. The blurry quality of cameras back then made it even harder to tell. The light in the image suggested it was taken at dawn or dusk, when shadows can distort size and shape. Still, Alberta's vast wilderness has always been linked with strange sightings. Was it just a person or something unknown? Rick Woods from Oregon was out for a walk when he felt something strange, like eyes following him from the woods. The uneasy feeling grew stronger, so he quickly pulled out his camera. Through the trees, he caught a glimpse of a large figure, dark, tall, and moving with a heavy stride. It looked nothing like a person. Rick managed to snap a single photo before the creature disappeared. Later, he shared the image online, which sparked debates. Some claimed it was proof of Bigfoot, while others dismissed it as a hoax, a statue, or just a blurry shape in the fog. But for Rick, the moment was real. He swears that for a brief time, he stood face to face with something unknown, something that didn't belong to an ordinary walk in the Oregon woods. While going through old recordings, a hiker paused at one taken on January 21st, 2022. It had been filmed from a bedroom window using a Samsung phone. The view stretched across to the trees about 200 meters away. At the 5-second mark, in the largest opening between branches, a dark silhouette appeared. At first, it seemed like nothing more than a trick of light, or perhaps the shadow of a branch. But then the shape moved. Its outline shifted as it slipped behind a thin limb. From that angle, it looked like the back of something large and upright. Whether it was standing or crouching was unclear, but it didn't resemble the swaying of leaves or the movement of birds. The sight unsettled the hiker. Since then, treetops no longer feel safe to glance at. Even the ground brings unease. The hiker now walks with lowered eyes, avoiding the unknown above. Nearly 3 decades ago, a family camping near Tony's Grove in the Wasatch Mountains had a night they never forgot. They had set up camp by the river and were settling in when nearby campers began shooting in their direction. The husband went to confront them while the mother tended to the children. As she sat by the fire, she caught a foul smell and heard movement in the water. Grabbing a flashlight, she spotted a towering, half-human, half-beast figure that looked like something from a horror movie. Terrified, she screamed as the creature fled back to the river. She rushed her 3 children into the car and locked the doors. Her husband and others returned, but she insisted they pack up and leave immediately. Back in 2012, a strange video appeared online that caught a lot of attention. It claimed to show a hairy, human-like figure deep in the Australian outback. Some believed it could be the Yowie, the creature often called the country's version of Bigfoot. The clip was shaky and filmed vertically, which made it hard to judge. Viewers were divided. Some thought it was fake, because they heard the cameraman react oddly. Others argued yowies were known to be smaller, but far more aggressive than the American Sasquatch, often moving in leaps rather than running. People even shared warnings about how silent the bush becomes when a yowie is near, and how some explorers never return from those areas. Whether real or staged, the footage still leaves questions. Was it truly a glimpse of the legendary yowie, or just another internet hoax lost in the noise of YouTube? In northern Ontario, a strange creature has been part of local lore for over a century. People call it Old Yellow Top, sometimes even the Precambrian Shield Man. Its most distinct feature is said to be a patch of yellow hair on its head. The first reported sighting dates back to 1923, when 2 miners claimed they saw it near Cobalt. Over the years, more accounts followed, keeping the mystery alive. One of the more curious pieces of evidence came in the 1970s. A woman snapped a picture without realizing anything unusual. Only later, when she looked at the developed photo, did she notice a shape with what appeared to be a yellow head in the frame. To some, it was proof of the legend. To others, it was nothing more than a trick of light. Yet, Old Yellow Top remains one of Canada's most peculiar cryptid stories. In July 2021, a couple hiked Lover's Lane in Olympic National Park. They walked along the Solduc River and noticed a dark shape off the trail. It stayed very still. From where they stood, it looked like a fallen log. They took a few photos but did not move closer because the brush was thick and it was far away. Later, one of them dug the pictures out and posted them online. People jumped in to look. Most said it was a stump or an example of pareidolia. A few said the photo felt like something was watching them. No one saw it move. The hikers did not go back to check. The photos sit in a folder now. Sometimes, when they open them, they still pause and wonder what they actually saw. On July 15th, 2025, a strange photo appeared online that quickly stirred debate. It was a simple night shot of a forest trail, but in the lower corner, a large dark figure could be seen walking into the trees. The figure seemed to move on 2 legs with long arms that almost reached the knees. Its step was wide, and the body leaned forward, much like descriptions of Bigfoot told for decades. The shape was smooth and dark, without signs of clothing or gear, which made it unlikely to be a person in costume. The photo was taken in a remote area with no human activity, adding weight to the mystery. Some believe it was a hoax, while others think it could be one of the clearest images yet of the legendary creature. Either way, the image leaves behind more questions than answers. In 2018, a woman in Boone, North Carolina, took a photo of a tall, dark figure at the tree line behind her house in the early morning. The photo was small and grainy. It shows a vague facial profile and a tall shape. Some people called it a googway. Others said it might be a person in a costume, a scarecrow, or a stuffed prop. Neighbors pointed out the area is rugged and thinly populated, which some said would make a hidden creature possible. Online readers argued over the pixels in the camera. Many asked for the original file, for pictures showing movement, or for time-stamped trail camera footage. People suggested setting up game cameras or GoPros to catch clear evidence. The thread produced theories, but no proof. The image stays curious and unresolved. It makes folks pause at the edge of the woods and raise their phones and wonder what might live just beyond the yard. Outro. And for Goosebumps Encounter, just watch this next video.